Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, artists, creatives, whoever you are, welcome to another episode of the Drawing from Experience podcast. This is episode number 70, and I'm stoked to be here. How about you? I want to talk today to you guys about some marketing tips, and maybe not your typical marketing tips either. I would say that there's a lot of things you listen to or hear about where they give you some real practical advice, hands-on, step-by-step advice. My advice today isn't quite that. My advice today is actually really kind of being more aware of self-aware of the kind of work that you do and using that to your advantage. And I think at least taking that as a first step, if you really don't like marketing your work, you can at least take an objective viewpoint of your work and use that to your advantage to market to the people that really want to see it. So that's really what I'm talking about today. And I do have some more practical things in there about how you can market your work with targeted ads and things like that for people who are into that sort of thing. But as I talk about in this episode, I'm into both. I'm definitely somebody who is all about just trying to naturally and organically find your audience, but I also understand some of the tools that are out there and things that we're able to use to our advantage. So before we get into that, of course, I'm going to talk about some art shows that are coming up that I am super stoked about. First of all, I just want to bring up this episode. The rest of it is actually recorded in my car on the way to deliver my piece to Copro Gallery in Santa Monica, California. And I like to do that sometimes, have my little mobile podcast studio and record, partly because I like to have some of the time spent feeling like it's productive rather than I'm just driving. And that's a long drive, so I like multitasking. So don't worry, I was safe. I think I was mostly safe driving, but when you're on a straight stretch of highway for a long time, it's pretty safe. I was going a safe speed, so don't worry about me. I got it covered, guys, but you guys get to hear the results of that. So again, before we get into that, I was on my way to Conjoined, and I dropped off the piece this past week, and then I came back to San Francisco, and then I had some work to do in San Francisco, and then I drove directly from SF to LA directly to Copro Gallery for the opening. And I made it just in time. I made it at like 9:30 that night. The show, actually, the opening went until 10:30, went a little bit later than that, but I was able to get there in time to see some people and talk to people. And man, what an incredible show. It was insane. If you guys get a chance, if you're in the area, go check it out. It's at Copro Gallery, which is in Santa Monica. That show goes until March 14th, and it is just, you got to go see it. Some of the artwork there is just amazing. The placement for my piece, I'm floored, I'm honored, I'm humbled, all the things to be able to be shown amongst all these other artists who are just like people I admire, people I look up to. So thank you, Copro Gallery. That is Erica and Gary, and also Chet Zar is the one who curated that, and Chet had some amazing things to say to me at the show. So man, what a week. I mean, it was incredible. So check out my social media if you don't know what I'm talking about out there. You could just look me up on Instagram or whatever under my name. You guys should know how to spell it and sound it out by this point. If you don't, it's IZYKOWSKI. It's actually not so bad. IZYKOWSKI. Not so bad. Isaacowski. sound it out and spell it. Okay, guys. The next show, I believe the next show that I'm in is at the Dark Art Emporium. It's for a show called Communion. The opening is on April 11th, and it goes until May 15th. I'm going to try to make it down there for that show, but I will regardless have a piece in the show itself. And I'd like to thank the Jeremys for inviting me into that show, Jeremy Schott and Jeremy Cross. You guys rule. I saw them also this past weekend at Copro Gallery. So yeah, thanks for having me, guys. The next show after that is Eon Gallery in Richmond, Illinois. That goes from March 21st to May 30th this year. So the year is 2020, by the way, if you didn't know that. First time showing at Eon Gallery, so I'm super stoked. The show is actually called Exodus 2020, The Road Out. So I have a piece in the works for that. Those guys have been seeming really cool through our interactions through email, and I'm excited to see some of the other art. It is an international dark art show, so pretty stoked about that. So why don't we move on to the Patreon shout out for the week. Patreon, what a wonderful platform it is. Okay, Chris Hackard, my buddy Chris Hackard, he's creating paintings, pen and ink drawings, graphic design, animation, and visual effects. And I met Chris at a dark art retreat that happened on Mike Carell's property in 2018. And Chris is totally rad. He actually had made these like unofficial Dark Art Society shirts that he gave to each of us. He gave me some artwork as well, which I still have, and totally cool. Super giving person. And, you know, he has a few followers or a few patrons on his Patreon, but, you know, honestly, for the content that he's putting out, he's got it. I feel like he needs some more patrons here. So what's really cool about Chris's Patreon is he spends a lot of time crafting these really well thought out statements. You know, sometimes when I put my Patreon posts out, I just type a thing and I'm like, hey guys, here it is. This is the thing. Check it out. Let me know what you think. But he really, I feel like he spends a lot of time being very introspective and thinking about his artwork and what it means to him and things like that. And he creates these really cool, weird creatures and aliens and all sorts of cool things. And he goes into the deep depths of his mind. And he is working on a project that has been something, I think, that's been going on for a long time. He calls it Temple of the Dark Parts of the Mind, and it encompasses all aspects of his project, from digital graphic design to traditional methods of art creation. And these are all things that you can find within his Patreon. So go check it out. You can find him on Patreon, patreon.com/Chris Hackard, Hackard, and Chris is CHRIS, Chris Hackard, patreon.com/Chris Hackard. Check it out. The lights in my studio like to go off because it's really smart that we have time-sensitive lights in a studio where we're sitting here for hours upon hours, and then every once in a while we have to get up and wave our hands in the air to turn the lights back on. So, because that makes sense. Okay, moving right along. Go check out Chris's Patreon. I'm going to give my creative conquests for the week. Let me wave my arms around my studio real quick. Hold on. There we go. Okay. All right, creative conquests for the week. We have, first one that I picked is Elizabeth Valentine. She says, I played Bigfoot in a short film written by 4th and 5th graders. Haha. It was creative, and Nick, her husband, and I taught the kiddos how to act and work the cameras, how to make a short film. It was with the Cub Scouts, and they graduate to become Boy Scouts next year. So at their awards ceremony, they're having a red carpet event and showing their little short. It was cute, and they learned a lot about filmmaking, and it was just a fun day. Liz, that's awesome. I know Liz has 3 kids of her own. Her and Nick are old friends of mine. When you guys hear me talk about the production company that I was in, it was with those guys, and oftentimes it was Nick teaching me how to make a film. So it's cool that he's passing on that information to some little kids now, you know. And I feel like, you know, the generation that's growing up with phones and technology, they're going to be better filmmakers than some of us, you know, because there's just so much more at their fingertips. So kudos to you guys. That sounds awesome. Tranifer Lovely says, I finally broke out of my creative rut I've been in since December. I started and finished a new painting, and despite being unsure of it, posted it online. Not only was it a huge hit among my fan base, but it sold within 5 minutes of listing in my shop. Wow, what a cool... It's great. It's great to be coming out of like a creative rut or something like that. And it's even better when you do it and then it's like a success, you know? I mean, how much more validation do you want than that? I mean, so Tranifer, that's totally cool. Tranifer goes on to say, I also discovered Aquaboard, which is my new favorite material to paint on. Paper? Don't know her anymore. And I started 2 new paintings in my trauma series. It was a huge relief to finally feel inspired and validated to create again after such a long existential funk. Awesome. Very cool. I love that. Those are the kinds of things that I just love seeing in these creative conquests. Again, if you guys don't even know what I'm talking about, join the Drawing from Experience creative community on Facebook. You can just request to be a part of that. And every Sunday I put out a post saying, what is your creative conquest? And these are people's responses. So Brian McGuire says, having one of my shrunken heads show up in... My voice cracked there. Okay, one more time. Having one of my shrunken heads show up in Birds of Prey as a piece in Black Mask's collection. It got a close-up, and Black Mask even had some dialogue about it. Whoa! That is so awesome. This dude's shrunken head, which there's a picture on the page of his shrunken head sculpture that he made. And it's in a movie that's out right now that we all know of. So, man, that is the coolest thing ever. So, again, you know, join the creative community online. There are obviously very talented people in there, and you can see some of their creative conquests weekly. So congratulations, Brian. That is a big win. I would love to know more about that process of getting your art in movies. I want my art in movies. How cool. Okay. I'm going to take a break for 1 second because I'm going to insert our sponsors into a different part of this episode. Let's interrupt talking about marketing for 1 second to hear from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Voss Gallery, San Francisco's hottest new gallery located in the Mission District. The gallery features a dynamic exhibition program of work by emerging and mid-career artists in both solo and thematically organized group shows with an emphasis in new contemporary work with a technical edge. Exhibitions rotate every 3 to 4 weeks. Visit the gallery Wednesday through Saturday, 12 to 6 p.m. to see their latest show. For a limited time, Voss Gallery is exclusively offering Drawing from Experience listeners 10% off of original artwork or fine art prints online. Visit vossgallery.art to view available art work. Sorry. And simply type in promo code DFE10. That's Drawing from Experience 10. DFE10 during checkout to redeem this offer. This promotion expires on April 1st. Visit the gallery in real life or online. Again, that website address is www.vossgallery.art to add some art to your collection today. I can't say enough good things about Voss Gallery. Again, I am hosting an event at Voss Gallery on this Friday, which is, what is the date? February 28th, 6 to 10. I'm hosting a Patreon kickoff for the Drawing from Experience podcast. I'm going to be podcasting, recording some episode and, recording an episode live during the event. And I'm super excited. I'm going to have some live painting going on. We're going to be pouring drinks. And you'll also get to see the work of Natalia Lvova, who I just interviewed on the podcast, and also the Tracy Piper for her show All I Need. So check it out. Come on out, guys. I'm really, really stoked about this event, and I will be posting online the link to my new Patreon. I did figure out the tier structure. I'm making it super simple for you guys, so I really hope you'll be able to support in some of my efforts here. My second sponsor is Joshua Coffey. He is an artist living and working here in San Francisco. He is an acrylic painter, muralist, art coach, and a friend and sponsor of the podcast. Josh's work deals with a lighthearted and whimsical take on birds and mammals and the natural world. Josh would like to remind everyone that a rising tide lifts all boats. Support each other, and we all win. And as a thank you for listening, Josh is offering 20% discount on your entire order at his website, undersong.com. Prints, calendars, magnets, and drawings, all featuring his work, are now discounted for Drawing from Experience listeners using the promo code DFE2020 at checkout. Visit undersong.com today. Thank you, guys. Those are my sponsors, official sponsors of the Drawing from Experience podcast. Now back to talking about marketing. So that's all I have for right now. You guys, please stick around. I'm about to talk about marketing. Sorry about the background noise. Again, I'm in my car for this episode. But hey, it kind of gives you a little ambiance, a little glimpse into my world of traveling to do art, to do the thing, to deliver the work. And sometimes I just need to make the best use of my time. And this is part of it, guys. So thank you so much for joining me. Here's my episode. I would say my first episode on marketing tips. I have little marketing tips peppered throughout so many of the episodes, but this one is really specifically targeted to it. And also, like, I'm relating everything I know to my own artwork, of course, because it makes sense. So in this episode, I do talk about personally my art and how I market it and some of the thought process that goes behind that. So I hope you guys find this valuable. I'm excited to share this kind of information. I know that marketing is such a hot topic for artists because we all need to market. So just keep that in mind. You know, that is something that unfortunately all of us have to do in some capacity, or we have to hire somebody to do it. So I really hope you guys find some value in this episode. Here I am talking about marketing.